Isang mapagpalayang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ngayon po ang unang araw ng buwan ng Setyembre 2020. Ako po si RJ Javellana Jr. Welcome po kayong lahat dito sa Katipunan Channel, Talakayang Bayan.
Butch Valdes po ng KDP.
Toti Casiño ng Philippine Community Society at kasapi ng Katipunan Demokratiko Pilipino.
Ang ating paksa sa araw na ito ay ukol po sa ating Saligang Batas at Revolutionary Government. Yan po yung ating paksa at mapalad po tayo mga profesor at kasama natin ang isa sa mga siguro masasabi na rin nating makabagong Gabriela, no? ng ating panahon.
Patriotiko yan. Patriotiko yan.
At
makipaglaban yan para sa bansa. Yan ang dating ng ating panauhin ngayong gabi.
Siguro, Professor Toti, ikaw na magpakilala.
Ito pong ating mga panayam sa gabing ito ay siya po kilala na siya sa mga matagal na sa kasaysayan ng bilang sa mga pelikula at ganoon din sa hanay ng sining. Pero kamakailan ay naging prominente po siya sa paglalaban ng kalayaan ng ating mga mamayan, lalo na yung mga naapi. At meron ka siya pang binuo ng samahan na kasama ang iba-ibang mga grupo at pagkakilala niya kung sino-sino man ito. At wala kaming tinutukoy, walang iba kundi si Ma'am Vivian Velez. Magandang gabi po, Vivian. Naka-mute po kayo. You're
Naka-mute.
Mute.
Ayan po. Ayan. Okay na po. Hello po.
Magandang po sa inyo lahat at marami pong salamat dito sa ating programa na
Yes. Ma'am Vivian, para sa kapanan ng ating taga-panood, ano po yung network revolution? Ano bang binubuto? Kailan po nagsimula?
Okay, we started this noong 2017. The whole year of 2017. Actually, nag-umpisa pa ito noong 2016, but when we tinatag namin yung network revolution is really, it is a link-up group of different organizations or individuals. It's really more of to call the president to exercise the extra powers, constitutional powers niya under RevGov, revolutionary government. So that was the network, what it's all about. And then, so it composes of different alliances, different organizations, patriotic individuals also. And siguro we came up with about 85 alliances nationwide. And we came up with November 13, nagkaroon kami ng nationwide, an international rally para ipakita kay Presidente yung aming support.
Right.
And what is your objective as an organization or as a network? What are your primary purpose?
Well, it's really, to show the President that the people are calling him, for him to establish that revolutionary government.
Right.
Alam mo, nag-umpisa pa ito kasi nung election 1, when our president kasi ran under the platform of federalism. And in one of his interview, when I was watching, titignan ko kung sino siya. Hindi naman ako kasi politikong tao at all eh.
Okay.
I mean, there are most of the time I don't even vote, no? But this is that siguro yung frustration. And then what he stands for. Medyo nagulat ako sa kanya kasi he was the only president I know that yung kanyang plataforma is really federalism. I mean, I grew up in the US. I studied in the US more or less. I have experience of a federal form of government. So, and then at the same time, when he said, he wants to set up a revolutionary government, and I said, okay, so this is different because, para sa akin naman kasi, if it's really a status quo, the usual thing that we do, para sa akin, walang nababago. So, when you said about the revolutionary government, that caught my attention.
Have you, yeah, having experience in the U.S. of a federal form of government, and then you have a central government, what are the differences that you have encountered there that is not present here?
But okay, I live in California, so federal states, kasi, di ba?
Mm.
US. So, ang nakita ko difference is because, as we know, there's Imperial Manila, as you're saying, Imperial Manila, which is really unitary kind of form of government. And nakikita natin talaga na medyo mabagal. Napapagalan ako dun sa progress in a way that has to, it has to come from a centralized form of government bago pumunta sa ating mga regional and all. And I think it is happening now. I mean, we've experienced it sa pandemic, di ba? Parang natin alam kung ano gagawin na natin, kung paano natin our funds, di ba? To the people. Parang, ano ba to? DSWD ba? Or ibibigay ba natin sa barangay? Ibibigay ba natin kay mayor? O paano ba? Tapos magkakaroon tayo ng doubt o makakawin ng mayor na all of those things. So I guess, I was even saying to myself, siguro kung federal form of government na tayo, talagang mas medyo meron tayong sistema para mapabilis yung serbisyo. No?
Yeah.
Those are the things many things. And also of course, alam naman natin na, have to talk about the Constitution first, before even talking about the federal form of government, because we cannot get there unless we do something about our Constitution.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Your observation is accurate because we know that the seat of government in the U.S. is in Washington, D.C. Yet, in spite of the seat of government being in Washington, D.C., it seems all other states are empowered to be independent from the be whether you're in New York, you're in Texas, or in California, which is far from the seat of government. Yet, each state has their own form of autonomy, or should you say? Right. And they have their own respective jurisdiction, and interesting that they can run their state of affairs at the same time. They are still under one flag, under one constitution, under one government.
Yung federal government na.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, dito sa it's very clear. For example, today in the United States, meron mga pockets of social unrest. Nagkakaroon sila ng mga batuhan doon and all of that. President Trump cannot just go in and say he has to get the permission of the governor. Kung ayaw ng governor, he cannot send in his troops. Sasabihin ng governor, no, we're all right here. We don't need you. No? This is the situation because there is some amount of autonomy. No? There is a unified planning for the whole economic program. No? And there is but almost every state has a branch of the federal bank, that helps in the finances of that state. I just wanted to go back to what Vivian was saying earlier. Kasi kasama
especially what's happening now in the US, because it's they're having an election coming soon, di ba? And so hindi sila napopolitika doon somehow, right? With the presidential elections that they're having. Right. I mean, in the future, I think November. So hindi na rin tayo lalayo dyan. When we talk about the federal form of government sa parliamentary naman, is yung nangyayari ngayon sa Japan, di ba?
Yes.
So when the Prime Minister Abe said that he needs to resign, and then but at least we can see the continuity. I mean, people are not going to be in fear of, our leader is resigning or anything like that. So more or less drama, I think. Walang drama doon.
Pasukan ko lang ng konti. I just want a few steps back nung sinabi ni Vivian na um, can I call you Vivian?
Yes, please.
Okay. Nung sinabi ni Vivian na nung bandang kampanya pa ni President Duterte, ang feeling ng mga tao noon talagang galit na galit no? Galit sila sa mga nakaraan. Galit sila kila Noynoy Aquino at yung mga nakaraan pang administrasyon. And it was refreshing to see somebody out of the blue that was coming out with so much conviction ang tapang-tapang, no? At sinabi niya talaga kanya I share Vivian's feelings na sinabi niya kung hindi natin magagawa na linisin ng gobyerno, magre-RevGov ako, no? Yan ang sinabi niya. And that to me inspired many other people who were also so angry with the previous na sumali dyan because they were anticipating in their minds na pag hindi na sumunod itong mga dapat dumiretso yan itong mga corruption, itong mga communism, itong mga drug lords, pag hindi sila sumunod at hindi siya nakakakuha ng tulong sa mga mambabatas, no? Magre-RevGov siya. Yun ang understanding. 4 years hence, parang parang ganyan, parang andyan pa rin mas grabing corruption, andyan pa rin ang droga, andyan pa rin ang mga komunista, inaabot, meron pang mga terorista. Ito mga ito, out of sheer frustration, no? Gusto na sabihin mag-RevGov ka na Mr. President, parang ikaw na lang ang magpapatakbo nito. Yun ang parang nangyayari sa atin, hindi ba?
But, when we go back, no, 2016, kasi when he got elected na isa as president, tapos natatandaan ko pa, tumawag siya ng resignation. Diba? Sabi niya yung mga iba sa mga korporasyon, I mean government, no? And sa mga GOCC, mag-resign kayo, so you will have free hand, diba, in choosing the people. Eh, nangyari, wala naman nag-resign. I'm talking about the civil service tenure kasi, diba, you can just remove all this employees or government officials or anything. So, nakita na natin ngayon yan sa PhilHealth, di ba?
Yes.
Na institutionalized talaga yung corruption. Yung mga magawa yata, 20 years na dyan, di ba? 15 years na sila dyan sa PhilHealth. So, hindi naman sila mga nag-resign at that time. So, kailangan tanggalin. So, you'd have to file a case, dapat may kaso pa bago matanggal ang isang tao, di ba? So, will take time. Kaya nga sabi nga namin, parang start from scratch, di ba? Pag revolutionary government is really start from scratch and, start all over again. Sabi ko nga at that time, hindi naman we're not reinventing the wheel naman. It happened from before. Even 1898, when Malolos Constitution was established, that was under revolutionary government. And then, huwag na tayo lumayo. Of course, yung 1987 Constitution was established right after revolutionary government. So, pero yung revolutionary government naman na sinasabi namin is really on si Presidente Duterte pa rin ang nakaupo. So, we were thinking when we were doing the 2017 at the time, kasi importante yung timeline. Sabi namin 2017, so he still has 4 years. So hindi naman siguro siya mag-over, di ba, the 4 years. If ever is going to establish that revolutionary government. Sabi nga namin 1 year, tapos enable na natin yung ating constitution for a federal form of government. Pagkatapos nun, siguro 2 years, 3 years down the line, tapos na yun sa kanya, and then we can start the election again by 2022. So, mentioning that right now, yung revolutionary government na gusto ng mga tao at this point, medyo questionable lang sa akin. Kasi parang it's too late.
Right.
It's already, di ba? It's already 2021
Mm-hmm.
almost because of the pandemic. So nothing is moving at this point.
Right.
So we're talking about 2021 and 2022. That's almost like a year and a half.
Vivian, merong panukala ang aming partido, ang Katipunan ng Demokratikong Pilipino, nang pumutok itong MRRD-NECC dyan sa Pampanga nung naglabas sila ng kanilang panawagan. Ang posisyon po ng KDP ay sa panahon ng pandemya, sa panahon ng kagipitan, ang ating sandigan ay ang Saligang Batas ng 1987 dahil nakalagay po dyan yung Section 12 sa ating sa Article 12, Section 17 and 18
Sa ekonomiya.
sa National Economy and Patrimony ay maaari pong ma-take over ng ating gobyerno, ng ating estado kahit wala pong concurrence ng Senado at Kongreso ang pag-take over dito sa mga utilities na kailangan natin ngayong panahon ng krisis. Halimbawa po, Meralco, Maynilad, Manila Water, Prime Water. So ito ay medyo mas angat doon sa sinasabi nating kagyat na panawagan at ito ay nasa loob pa ng Saligang Batas. Wala tayong lalabagin. Kanina parang nabanggit mo na medyo alanganin na at siguro ay maganda na tayo ay magsama-sama sa ganitong panawagan, which is yung sinasabi kasi ng Presidente, oligarko, yung isa sa pinakamatinding problema ng inang bayan. At,
Pinakamatindi.
yung
Yun ang sinabi niya.
yung pinakasentro ng paghihirap ng maraming Pilipino ngayon. So, ano ang tingin mo rito sa Article 12, Section 17 and 18 na ito?
Hindi.
Actually, it started with 16.5.
Yeah, tama.
Provisions. Yeah, there is a
Totoo.
provision there on Section 16 of the Article 12. Yes. Maibalik ko lang yun sa MRD, no? If I can remember it right, in 2017, actually, we invited them to join us, for the revolutionary government, the call for the president, to call the revolutionary government. Meron silang reason at that time that na ayaw nilang sumama sa atin. And so somehow, there's a big question mark, diba? There's a big question sa akin on what is really the goal, diba? This time. Yung sa'yo, yung sa sinasabi mo, yes, we have, under the Constitution, the 1987 Constitution, meron naman tayong mga pwede, like you were saying that Article 12, talagang yun, dapat pwede na yun eh. Pwede na dapat ipatupad ni Presidente yun eh, di ba? May emergency powers siya, he doesn't even have to ask the Congress for it because it's there. And it's constitutional for him to even take over all these public utilities, di ba? Alam naman natin yun. And I'm sure alam niya rin yun, di ba? Pero ang sa akin kasi, the call for revolution, sa akin kasi siguro iba-iba naman ang pananaw ng ibang tao. Sa akin kasi it's really to ways and federalism kasi yun ang talaga ina-advocacy ko is really the federalism because it goes against the, of course, the economic liberalization natin, sa FDI, yung foreign direct, which is 60-40. Those are the things that we want abolished kasi ito mo nang nangyari dyan sa Vietnam, di ba? I mean, yung mga nagmalis sa China, wala tayong nakuha ang isang korporasyon para mag-set up dito. And why is that? Kasi it brings, sayang kasi sayang yung mga investors coming in para mag-invest and at least that equals employment, di ba? Jobs. Pero bakit sa iba sila natutunta? So it has something to do with our form of government. Ngayon, federalism ang sa akin. Ano? Pero yung sa sinasabi mo naman, yes, of course, pwede nang gawin ni Presidente yun actually. For him not doing it, di ba? malaking katanungan din natin, di ba?
Yun nga,
I mean, I think we should that is even, pwede pa natin sabihin kay Presidente, bawal yata yung ginagawa mo na hindi mo ginagawa, ini-empower yung sarili mo to do it. Or even follow what's in the Constitution, di ba?
tama.
Pwede natin sumbatan si Presidente.
Yun nga ang nakakaano, pero tulad ng sabi mo, pwede namang nagawin. But I wanted to emphasize, Vivian, that the move on this economy, itong 16, 17, 18, which you rightfully mentioned, no, is an economic move. No? At this present time, the people are still heavily burdened by two major expenses in their lives. No? Electricity, which is we're paying right now the highest electricity rates in the world. We're paying even double what the US is paying for themselves in the US. Can you imagine? Tapos tubig. Ngayon, kanya natin sinasabing gawin niya to para maibaba niya ang halaga ng charge sa kuryente. Okay? As of today, Vivian, the whole oligarchy that is in control of electricity is collecting 1.5 trillion pesos a year. Trillion pesos a year. Now, sobra-sobra talaga. Kaya hirap na hirap ang taong bayan. Ang amin na suggestion, because this is going to be the economic move. As of now, ang ginagawa lang natin ni Dominguez at lahat, hiram lang ng pera, wala tayong pambayad. No? Pero in this particular case, if you get the electricity sector, bring down the cost of electricity by two-thirds na lang. So you only charge 500 billion. That means we are inputting into the economy 1 trillion pesos every year. Much, much more than what Dominguez can borrow. And this is not borrowed money. This is not inflationary. This is an imputing into the economy so that aandar ang ating ekonomiya. You mentioned earlier, why is it that those investors and companies didn't come to the Philippines? Number one, high cost of electricity. No? So it will place us precisely in a recovery mode, no? Which might be the basis for a development program. No? Whereas if we don't do this, even if we federalize, even if we change into a parliament, but we do not change this situation, basic talaga.
Yes.
Walang mangyayari sa atin. No? We agree with you on there are benefits to the federalization. There are benefits to parliamentary, and we let the people decide what we want.
Yeah.
But this one is very fundamental. This is survival. At this particular point, when you have almost 50% unemployment rate, can you imagine when the US was in a Great Depression in 1933, the unemployment rate of the United States, when people were already killing themselves and dying of hunger, it was already at 52%. We are very near that. We are not even counting those OFWs who may be forced to come back here, and we don't have anything for them. No. This is a very scary situation that we are facing in the near future. I just wanted to add this so that we know how urgent this thing is. And it's correct. Let us assume, kunwari, out of the 4 years, the president knows that the oligarchy has to be dismantled. Hindi niya makaya kasi palagay ko yung mga tao niya sa gobyerno, pinipigil siya. Pero meron siya ibang paraan dito sa ating saligang batas. At itong sa saligang batas natin, pag pinasok niya, it will probably even be the right vehicle or the right move to go into a revolutionary government later on. If he follows that direction through the Saligang Batas.
Yes, when you mentioned the urgency,
Right.
actually, I mean, talagang nararamdaman lahat ng taong bayan. Ako mismo, meron ako experience with the Miraco. I mean, I'm sure everybody is. Everybody is really complaining about their bills, di ba? Yung nakakatuwa kasi, I don't know what is happening because I know it's in Congress now, di ba? I-hear naman itong Miraco ito. But listening to it, kasi parang mahaba pa yung proseso, no? At napapakinggan ko din naman ang mga salita ng mga tao, ang salita ng mga anong tawag natin, yung mga pinagpatawag nila, yung mga authority when it comes to the
Experts,
or RC, or whoever is in charge, no? DOE. Hindi ko pa narinig si Cusi, si Secretary Cusi, hindi ko pa siya narinig sa Congress. No? Parang puro walang no mention of Article 12 at all.
Yeah,
That's
correct. You're correct.
Diba?
Yeah, correct. Iniiwasan nila.
Iniiwasan mo nila. Kasi, I'm not familiar with it also, di ba, yung Article 12 na yan. And then I was even saying doon sa Bayanihan Act, sabi ko, bakit kailangan pa, actually, ilagay nila yun sa Bayanihan Act, and then all of a sudden, the Congress took it out.
Correct.
Alam niyo ba yun?
Yes.
Diba, inalis nila yung provision.
Yes, correct.
He can take over the public utilities.
Yes.
And then, ang pinasa ng Congress and Senate was, they took it out. They
Right,
took
right.
the provision.
Right.
Tapos, sabi ko, bakit inalis yun? Nandun naman sa Constitution. Hindi ba? So may disconnect somewhere. And and then I feel sometimes na sabi ko, ano ba to na undermine ng mga taong bayan? Para bang hindi tayo nagbabasa or hindi tayo marunong magbasa. Di ba, ng ating konstitusyon. So, yes, those are big, really, medyo nakakapanghinayang kasi yan, totoo yan, di ba, Sir Butch, talaga,
Yes.
ang laki na maitutulong yan. Even doon sa mga maliliit na tao na walang hanap buhay ngayon, tapos nagbabayad pa rin ng kuryente, alam natin kung gano'ng mahirap yan, di ba?
Sometimes I feel that the president is being held hostage by his cabinet members. No? I still believe in the president's sincerity about his love for the people. But it seems that he is being held hostage by his economic managers. Yan si Cusi, sila Medialdea, no? Sila Benjok, no? That they are surrounding him with all kinds of negative things not to go after the oligarchs. No? And yet, that is precisely where he should go. No? Now, we in the KDP, no? Trying to understand everybody's position. No? Maybe we can really act in solidarity and coalesce. Never mind first about the about the charter change and so on and so forth. Just coalesce on this one at ipukpok natin sa ating presidente na ito ang direksyon na gugustuhin ng taong bayan in accordance pa with the Saligang Batas. No?
In fairness to the other people around here, the other secretaries and probably, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt in a way that kasi siguro na ipipresent naman yun sa kanya, alam mo, lawyer naman si Presidente, no? Siguro nababasa naman siguro, una niyang binasa naman siguro dyan, yung Constitution, yung ating konstitusyon, di ba? So, I'm sure naintindihan niya lahat yun, ano? It's just that may mga naririnig lang naman din ako and we have experienced it. Na sila lang naman kasi, siya lang naman din ang nakakaalam. And I'm sure he's weighing his balancing on what is happening to the us, no, to the Philippines. Kasi parang katulad niyan, yung halimbawa lang sa nangyari doon sa ABS-CBN, di ba? You know, we're saying that this is an oligarch way of controlling the media, controlling the people actually. Nung nabuwag ito, talagang ang backlash, talagang medyo until now, actually, me, you know, as very active in the social media, at been talking to a lot of the bloggers also that are pro-government. Talagang ang grabe ang attacks. Very vicious. And there's somebody's bankrolling this, di ba? For sure.
Right.
At alam naman natin ang power ng oligarchs. I mean, you know, they're there for so many years.
Yes.
Empowered and all, you know. And then, malakas ang loob. Minsan sinasabi pa nga nila, kaya namin itapol ang government, and they've done it many times, I think. I mean, during Joseph Estrada's time, so they're trying to do the same thing to the president. Na-feel naman natin yan nung umpisa pa lang, first year, the first 2 years that he's in power. Kaya medyo nakakaano din nakakabahala in a way, di ba? Kung talagang head-on. So, sana may lakas na loob pa rin si Presidente to do this. And tapos malapit na rin kasi ang election, 1.5 years na lang tayo. So, talagang kailangan niya ng taong bayan. I think, sabi naman niya, di ba? It's all up to us nasa sa atin yun He will just follow our lead. Problema lang natin talaga, hindi tayo nakakaisa. And maraming distraction. Especially what's happening now with the pandemic. Sa tayon. So, hindi makakilos sa mga tao.
If you recall, Vivian, in the early stages in the first half of the terms of President Duterte, he knew he was up against a major force. The corruption was the corruption was really deeply penetrated in different branches of government, and his battle against the drug lords, his war on drugs, has been prominated in the major dailies. But during the campaign in 2019, when KDP was zeroing on the claws of the oligarchs, particularly in the public utility sector, in the privatization, when President Duterte started to charge Manila Water in Maynila at the end of last year, right after the election period, it seems that it caught fire among our citizens that his approval rating went as high as 83%. 87%. Now, the term oligarch is all over the social media. And I think the hype against the oligarchs, and not only you, Vivian, and I guess the rest of the Filipino citizens are aware that our major enemy are the oligarchs. And that is why we here in KDP have been campaigning, forcibly against toppling the powers and the authority of the oligarchs, particularly on the public utilities. That's what Professor Butch was saying earlier. That is why we're pushing for this administration to take hold of that provisions in the Article 12 in taking over these public utilities as a matter of executive power. And with us, you yourself there being active in the social media, maybe the more we push this in the social media stream, now that one of the puppets of these oligarchs, the ABS-CBN, is long gone, I think it's high time that we blastered the entire cyberspace, naming the enemy themselves, so that would empower and that would make our president more emboldened to challenge. And
I was even surprised when they were hearing the Miracle that well, they were saying, no, na kaya pala hindi nila maibaba yung ating Miracle rates is also because ang pinagkukunan pa rin pala the Lopez group
Yes.
of
Yes, that's true.
yung kanilang planta, no?
Yeah.
Yung pa rin ang pinagkukunan ng source.
Mhm.
So, I was even surprised. Kala ko, when they left Miracle, hindi na gano'n. So, there's a lot of, kaya nga, I think information, dapat malaman din ng tao, ano talaga yung, anong ibig sabihin ng oligarchs.
Right.
Kasi they're saying that it is like, parang, just the word, no? Hindi nila alam how penetrated
How
this
deep.
group.
Yeah. Well, sa amin, kasi yung mga iba, ang ginagawa nila pag oligarko, parang lahat ng mayaman laban sa mahihirap. No?
Oo.
Pero,
Yes.
pero with us, we go to the pains of explaining who we refer to as the oligarchs. They are the ones that have been given government contracts by those that were in power before, no? Especially to take over the public utilities. No? And ito ang parang ginamit nila, parang alkansya yan eh. No? Para magpayaman ng husto. No? Meron mga ibang mga mayaman, diretso naman sila, yung mayaman sila, wala silang connection sa gobyerno. O hindi sila nabibigyan ng mga kontrata sa gobyerno. Pero itong mga ito, may kakuntsaba sa gobyerno no, na nagbigay sa kanila nito. No? When they should not have. No? Because ito yung move towards privatization. Dahil dito sa move ng privatization, meron at least matinong tao na naglagay ng provisions ng 16, 17, 18, at 19 dyan sa Article 12 na yan to give precisely the power to the President na kung merong ganitong crisis at alam na nila, it seems that the power public utilities will be going up because alam na nila yung effect ng privatization. Babalik mo sa Presidente ang control para maibaba, matulungan ng taong bayan. And this is exactly what the President has to do. Because according to Section 22, yung pinakahuli dyan, nabasa mo, ang sinasabi diyan, pag hindi ginawa ito, that means lumalabag siya sa Saligang Batas. No? He will be in violation of the Constitution. No?
Dahil yan po ang kanyang sinumpaang tungkulin sa ilalim ng Saligang Batas na dapat ito ay kanyang ipatupad. Kaya nga po ang ating panawagan ay ipaabot kay Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na ang taong bayan ay tumatalima naman sa pagsunod sa ating pamahalaan, pero dapat pakinggan din ang pamahalaan ng taong bayan, lalong-lalo na ngayong panahon ng kagipitan. Marami sa ating mga nanay at tatay ang wala na pong pambayad ng kuryente, tubig. Paano kapag dumating yung oras at sila'y naputulan at merong pandemya, di tataas na naman ang bilang sa panahon ng pandemya na ito. Marami sa ating mga nanay at tatay ang hindi na po mapag-aral ang kanilang mga anak sa kolehiyo Kagabi lamang po ay nasabi ng ating kalihim sa edukasyon na 46% lamang ang nakapag-enroll. Yung 54% po ay hindi po nakapag-enroll ngayon. Bunga po ito ng prioridad ng ating mga magulang. Ano ang uunahin? Siyempre pagkain, siyempre gamot. Bago po ang kuryente, bago ang tubig, bago ang telco sa pagmamayari ng mga oligarko, ito po yung damdamin ngayon ng taong bayan. Kaya nung sumambulat yung panawagan ng revolutionary government doon sa Pampanga ng MRRD at NEC, para sa amin, karapatan naman po nila yon na magpahayag. Pero para sa pananaw po ng Katipunan Demokratikong Pilipino na may mas kagyat na pangangailangan ng taong bayan ngayon, ngayong panahon ng krisis at kagipitan, which is yung itong ang Artikulo 12, Section 16, 17, 18 na invoke natin. Dahil ito'y karapatan nating lahat. Kaya matanong ko rin po, Vivian, sigurado ako na ang network revolution ay hiwalay. Iba kayo dun sa nananawagan ng MRRD NEC. No? Hindi ko kami masyadong pamilyar diyan sa mga grupuhan na yan. Ano po? Maari mo ba kaming mabigyan ng para naman magkaroon ng distinction, no? Halimbawa, kanina binanggit mo 83 plus yung network
Alliances,
revolution.
Yes.
Opo. Sige po.
Kasi as I was explaining kanina, we are just a link-up group, no? So we invite different groups and individuals. So naiintindihan din naman namin ang MRID dati, no? So but they did not join the network revolution. Marami tayong mga alliances, actually nationwide tayo from in fact, when we did our assembly, magmula talaga sa Tubigaraw to Tawi-Tawi to Basilan to nagkaroon tayo.
Buong mundo po, buong mundo.
Almost like 100,000 people, may mga dumating pa galing Maguindanao and all, no? So talaga in Cebu, we had 2 assembly, Iloilo, basta all over, Ilocos, Bicol and all. Talaga it was a nationwide kasi we really made it that way kasi we're also advocating federalism, so it has to be nationwide. But then malakas din ang naging international natin, because the one who was in charge of that, si Gerardo Cudao, is from Spain, and he was the one who really organized this yung ating mga kababayan abroad. And they joined us noong November 30. And nakita natin yung clamor. A lot of people really want to change. Nararamdaman nila yun. And they, it's the right man for the right time. Diba? Kasi only because it was Duterte, was the president that we want, para to revolutionize, kasi we call him a revolutionary president in a way. At marami na rin naman siyang nagawa, pero hindi niya kayang mag-isa. At siyempre marami, as you were saying, iba naman ang politics. As si Sir Butch, sinasabi niya yung politics around him. Pero talagang human factor, no? Talagang meron siguro sa mga grupo talaga, sa mga hindi natin makikipasa yung But then, I think, kung tayo mga Pilipino, nararamdaman naman natin at alam naman na natin na nasa Saligang Batas yan at hindi naman tayo tumiwala in a way. Sabi nga nila, revolutionary government hindi naman ang solution, di ba? But then, debatable din yun kasi syempre yung sovereign will. So we have to think on that. Pero ibig sabihin, parang alam ko naman yung tinutukoy natin that let's ando naman sa Constitution yung gusto natin mangyari. Bakit hindi natin umpisahan sa ganun? Kung kaya talaga, di ba?
Opo.
And then we go from there.
Tama.
Yes.
The other thing, Vivian, as to why this thing is urgent, just recently, the president had disclosed his health condition, which is worrisome. It seems that there are days that he is not, he doesn't feel very healthy, and days that he feels very strong. No? And the opposition, of course, is using this, no, as to inspire other opposition members, no. Ginagamit nilang pang recruit ng kanilang mga grupo. And actually, at that stage, anything can happen. No? Some people just fade gradually, and the others medyo bigla.
Mhm.
And when you are debilitated with that kind of ailment, there's a chance that may magkaroon ka ng health condition that's going to be pushing the whole country into a real crisis, political crisis. And we are of the opinion that if he goes into the Saligang Batas route, no, this Article 12 route, anything can happen to him. No, it will be easier for those that will take over from him just to continue what
Yeah.
they were doing,
Mhm.
right? I do not, I do not see the present questionable vice president being popularly supported. Not at all. But the armed forces of the Philippines, no, must know what to do, no, in case something happens to the president, or else they will be just as confused as the people if no such direction is provided to them. The other thing that we think is quite important is that on the matter of the Constitution, there are only two groups that are asked to defend the Constitution and to protect the Filipino people. One is the president when he takes his oath, and the other is the military. The rest of us, those that are in Congress, in Senate, and the rest of us, we are asked to follow the Constitution. Not to defend it, but they have to defend it. No? This is an important idea that must be inculcated in the minds of the armed forces of the Philippines and whoever they are. And it is important that contingency plans, no, I'm sure they're already talking about it and probably planning it out. But it's important that we have contingency plans because anything happening to the president, no, will plunge us into a deep political crisis and even deeper economic disintegration.
Correct.
Mm.
Correct.
Actually,
Yes, go ahead.
actually, with this commotion with the RevGov and also the recent bombing in Holo, it has been parang it's in an opportune time for the public to discuss it. Although PRD has already public proclaimed that he is against revolutionary government at this point in time, he said that he is open for discussion. Now, would your group, the Network Revolution, respond to this call to submit any position paper that you would like to reach to the president? If there is, what would that be in consultation with your network?
You know, parang kasi sa amin, we've done that in 2017.
Okay.
So, meaning, we wrote them a letter, we have even a declaration, but he didn't heed to our call. So, it's still there, it's still on the table. Andiyan pa rin yung suporta, and I've talked to some of our members and yung mga ating mga alliances, andiyan pa rin sila. But then, because of what's happening now, because of the pandemic, hindi naman nakakakilos sa mga tao. So we're doing it through social media. That's all we can do right now is really voice out, in the social media. Pero mas makikita rin naman natin na ang suporta pa rin naman ng taong bayan, aking presidente pa rin, because yung mga survey niya, he's still doing very good, no? Yung movement kasi ng ating, he's open for discussion, but he said in one of the articles in the interviews, sabi nga niya is, you talk to the military people.
Yes, you mentioned
Di
that.
ba? Yun ang sinabi niya. I mean, I'm open for discussion, you talk to the military people. So alam naman natin yung component na yun, di ba?
Yeah.
That, as Sir Butch was saying, that the military, him as a commander-in-chief, di ba? So, pag walang military component, then, at least, at this point, we really, we're at a loss also in a way. Medyo talagang, somebody is calling, another group is calling for a revolutionary government, and tinitignan naman namin sila kung ano yung pakay nila, no? I guess we should start a movement saying, ating movement naman Artikulo 12.
Yeah, tama yan. Tama yan.
Tama yan.
Artikulo 12, di ba? Movement, di ba? I mean, tumbok na natin, hindi ba?
Diretso.
Correct.
Yan.
Ano yung Artikulo 12?
Yan.
Madali madaling pakinggan,
Opo.
madali
Opo.
maintindihan,
Opo.
di ba? At nararamdaman. Kasi yung importante, nararamdaman
Yan.
nararamdaman ba ng taong bayan yung mga sinasabi natin, di ba?
Tama.
So, siguro with that, yung federalism kasi sometimes, nagkaroon na ng budget ng PIRG, pero hindi ko naman alam kung pinasok sila. Kasi marami naman nagsasabi, kasi hindi naman alam ng mga tao ano federalism, di ba? So, parang hindi nakaka-relate ang mga tao at this point, hindi nila mag-grasp kung ano ang kabutihan ng isang federalism. But when you talk about Artikulo 12,
Mas mabilis.
So, pagka sinabi mo ang kuryente mo, ganito, ganyan.
Tama.
At maipatutupad ito dahil ito ay nasa Saligang Batas.
Yan.
Siguro mapapadaling
Mapaliwanag.
ng tao.
Kasi
Totoo.
ang mga Pilipino takot na takot maputulan. Hindi na sila kakain, wag lang maputulan ng kuryente, no?
Alam mo, nandito naman tayo sa topic ng kuryente. Nakakatawa talaga rin ang Meralco because I'm also one of the victims. Ako sasabihin ko na, I usually have my electric bill, siguro mga 16,000, 17,000, mga ganyan. Average lang ako talaga dyan sa ganyan. Tapos nung June, I think it was June or July, so I paid kasi nagbayad pa rin ako kahit na there was an ECQ. So ayoko matambakan kasi, no? So I was still paying. Pagdating ng June ko, or I think it was July or June, biglang naging 47,000.
Wow!
So I said, what is this? 17%. So I was saying, baka naman akala nila hindi tayo nagbayad sa ECQ or something. So I called, and they said, no, ma'am, it was deducted. Nung 1 month lang po, 47 po ang naging bill niya. Sabi ko, paano nangyari yun, di ba? So, anyway, a lot complain, maraming nagreklamo, di ba?
Talaga?
Sarado yung kanilang establishment, pero nakatanggap pa rin sila ng 4 times the amount. So definitely, it was bogus, no? They were just estimating somewhere.
Right. Yeah.
And then nung karoon ng investigation, dumating yung bill, akala ko okay na because it went up to 21. So sabi ko, sige, pwede na yung 21. Only to find out na hinati-hati pala nila yun. Hinati nila sa ilang buwan. So kung hindi mo talaga siya babasahin at hindi mo siya iintindihin, akala mo, kinorek nila. Kasi di ba
Yes.
dapat breeding na, tamang breeding na yung ginawa nila. Hindi pa din. So, anong ibig sabihin nun, di ba? Niloloko nila ang taong bayan.
Exactly.
Kumonekta sila ng kuryente ng bill na hindi dapat kolektahin. So, and I listened to Congress, napakinggan ko. Wala, no mention of that.
Yeah.
Na yung sinisigil ng Meralco ay hindi tama.
Right.
Na nakloloko ang mga taong bayan. So, yun lang ang I mean, it's like parang talaga in broad daylight na ninanakawan ka.
Correct.
So, mabuti sana yung siguro, kung medyo may kaya or yung malalaking establishment, somehow they can go, get by, Pero paano yung mga maliliit na tao?
Exactly.
As we're saying,
Exactly.
yun na lang nga ang kanilang kuryente, napaka-basic, di ba?
Ang gross income ng power sector alone, according to the studies here, gawa ng KDPK, sinasabi nga ito ni Professor Marcelo na is 1.5 trillion pesos a year. Sobra na, di ba? Ang lupit. Kasi ang ating national budget ay pumapalo lang ng mga 4 na trilyon piso. Sa kuryente pa lang, 1.5. Yung sa tubig, inabot ng ilang trilyon din yun. Na tayo mismo, nagbabayad tayo ng singil na dapat nila gagamitin to para gumawa ng bagong sanitation or sewerage system. Ni isang kusing wala silang ginastos. Pero naningil na nga sila sa atin ng 20 buwan, 20 taon.
At napakinggan din natin sa Congress, hindi din sila nagbabayad ng tamang buwis.
Exactly. Parang nga
Yung buwis nila nakapatong sa atin.
Oo, sabi nila, bakit nakapatong yung buwis? Hindi ba pinapatong din sa taong bayan? Grabe, talaga.
Yung pattern po ng ABS-CBN issue dyan sa taxation.
The same,
Opo.
Exactly.
Kaya nga po, itong hinihingi natin dito sa Artikulo 12, Section 16, 17, 18, ito po yung nakasulat na eh. Ang kailangan na lang ay patupad. Hindi natin kailangan ng senador dito. Hindi natin kailangan ng kongreso. Ang kailangan na lang po natin ay ang ating Pangulo at palakasin ang panawagan ng taong bayan. Baka naman yung seksyon ng militar o yung nasa itaas ng pamunuan ng militar, sabihin nila na ipatupad ito. Baka yan yung sinasabi na dun sa pahayag ng ating presidente kagabi. Kagabi niya sinabi ito na baka kailangan magpakinggan. Ang tingin ko po, yung sandatahang lakas nariyan lang Pero at tayong taong bayan, ang dapat na parang yung nananawagan dyan sa Pampanga ng RevGov, hindi naman nga, wala nga Sila lang yung nanawagan. Palagay ko po, mas malaki pa yung network revolution na grupo nyo dahil 83 kayo 83 organisasyon.
We were able to, yun ang groundswell na tinatawag nila. We were able to at least gather 1 million people talaga in different places.
Kayo po hindi inimbitahan sa Pampanga.
Hindi ako na
Anyway, alam nyo, you read our mind, but we did not want to suggest it unless you suggested it. And we are all for your suggestion. Gawin natin Artikulo 12, Movement for...
Artikulo 12, di ba?
Oo.
Yeah.
Hindi, tama. Kasi I think, that would be...
Pero we have to organize lalong madaling panahon because mauubusan tayo ng time, because events are happening. Not just here in the Philippines, also outside the Philippines. There's so many things that are threatening world peace, for example. Ngayon lang, naghaharapan ng mga China at US dyan. Nagtututukan nga sila. No?
Tapos,
right.
tinututukan ko din yun
So,
timely siya also because I think we've heard kasi nagkaroon na ng investigation sa Meralco and ang dami nating na-confirm, hindi ba?
Right,
I mean,
right.
at least bulat-lat kung ano yung mga hinala natin. May Congress na yan mismo, di ba? And it's recorded.
Okay.
Nandyan yung sinabi nga nila na bakit pinapako ng buwis sa
Vivian,
tao.
Vivian, you might have forgotten that the whole world is listening to us now.
Sino?
The whole world is listening to us now in our discussions.
Yes.
No? Huh?
Yes, so
And I'm
I
glad.
shared it also to my page.
Okay, very good.
And but yes, I hope they have to participate kasi
Yeah.
talagang kumbaga it's going to be a movement na talagang dapat mapapakinggan tayo.
Sige, umpisahan natin dito sa pagsasama natin dito ngayon sa Zoom, no? And then we'll follow up with you.
And also for the people, ito, nananawagan na po kami sa inyo, no? Sa mga taong bayan at tayo naman siguro is very inclusive, like what happened to our network revolution at that time in 2017. Very inclusive kami. We welcome anyone who have suggestions, di ba? Kung paano natin mag-ipa. Meron din naman mga nakikinig sa ating mga sekretary dyan. Dahil mga kaibigan natin sila sa social media. So, I'm sure napapakinggan din nila tayo ngayon. At nananawagan na rin tayo sa kanila na sana may matulungan nila, di ba? Si Presidente na maipakita sa kanila yung Artikulo 12 ito. At maipatupad. Matagal pa kasi ang Congress, although I salute the Congress right now, at least may magalaw, what happened to ABS and now with Miraco and with PhilHealth.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job. Power Rangers ang mga sinasabi nila. Baka naman sa kanila din, mabanggit naman nila yung Artikulo 12 kasi talagang nakikinig ako dyan sa Congress na yan at walang nagbabanggit niyan na nasa Saligang Batas yan. So dapat at least mabanggit nila yan sa Kongreso.
Ang problema kasi sa Kongreso, yung Artikulo 12, wala sila dun eh. Presidente lang ang gagawa nun eh.
Correct, but they'll have to remind. Diba? Ano sila eh.
Tama.
Representante sila ng kanilang di ba, constituents.
Tama.
So,
Kasi ganito nga, no, ang ating kalagayan ngayon, meron talagang parang bagyong darating na matindi. Ito yung pagbulusok ng ating ekonomiya, dala ng mataas ng unemployment at pagsasara ng mga negosyo. Ngayon, dahil nga talaga lulubog ang ating ekonomiya, hindi lang sa Pilipinas kundi sa buong daigdig, kailangan meron tayong klarong plano. Maliban sa pagtitake over itong public utilities, dapat merong paghahanda ang ating pamalaan. Paano natin susolusyonin itong pagwawalan hanap buhay ng ating mga mamamayan, wala na silang kinikita, at dapat patibayin natin ang ating hanay sa financial. Kaya nga meron nga dito sa Section 20 and 21 ng Article 12, yung kakayanan ng Kongreso na magtaguyod ng Central Monetary Authority. At siguro paalala natin sa kanila na meron din silang tungkulin dito sa ilalim ng Artikulo 12. Kaya nga na hindi lang sa pagsasakop ng ating pamalaan itong public utilities, kundi magtatag ng panibagong kalakalan gaya ng steel manufacturing, modernization of the agricultural sector, shipbuilding, paraguin ng ating defense, particular na sa Navy at sa Air Force para bantayan ang ating teritoryo at marami pang iba para sa ganun ay magkaroon ng malawakang oportunidad ng ating mga manggagawa na magkaroon ng panibagong hanap buhay. Ngayon, bilang isa sa mga tagatulak nitong network revolution, Vivian, mananawagan ngayon ng KDP na gumawa ng isang malawakang konsultasyon through Zoom. Pag nagawa natin ito, pero privately mo natin gagawin ito para magkaroon tayo ng mga consensus, paano natin bubuuin ito at balikan na natin ang ating mga sumusubaybay dito sa Talakayan Bayan at ipahayag natin ang ating programa. Pero pwede natin gawin yan dahil ang KDP may kakayanan pa mag-host nitong event offline.
Okay.
correct.
So,
Okay, very good.
maybe it's time, nag-overtime tayo. we have to read the text messages sent to us by our listeners and viewers. No? I'm sure meron silang mga comments and questions. Yeah.
Galing po to kay Alfredo Orendina, kalayaan sa kuko ng mga hidhid na oligarko. Without RevGov, Duterte must execute Article 12 of the 1987 Constitution. Oust the greedy oligarchs, rent-seeking from public utilities, junk epira law. From Joel Lacandola, good evening po mga sir. RJ, Butch, Toti, God bless. Baguhin na ang 1988 Constitution, panahon na talagang mag-RevGov na. From Juanito Yampig Jr. Hi, KDP. I-guess nyo ulit si Ma'am Vivian. Pampa good vibes. Okay. Meron ka ng fans dito, Vivian. From Ras Mendoza. Good evening mga idol ng bayan. From Doris Valdes, watching from Singapore. Magandang gabi, Sir RJ, Sir Butch, Sir Toti. Magandang gabi, Miss Vivian Velez. From Elinia Orio. Epiralo, yan ang problema. From Bienvenido Lorque. Alam ng Pangulo ang nangyari sa kapaligiran kung anong tatanungin. Ang problema dahil ang mga gabinete niya ay hindi mapagsabihan direkta dahil sila mismo ay buong nalilinlang sa kanyang sanhi ng suporta ng oligarko. Kaya para sa akin, kung RevGov ang tao ang masusunod at hindi ang gabinete niya, sa ganyang paraan, safety siya sa mga galit niya. From Elina Oreo, tama, walang mangyari. Realidad, puro ilusyon na. Investor, wala namang liquid cash. From Ram Reyes, good evening Sir Butch and Company. From Elina Oreo, nag-alala si Secretary Cusi. Mahirap ang utang na loob, hindi mamamayan. Mayaman lang ang nasa isip, hindi puso. From Tess Curata, good evening po, watching from Japan. Hello po mga Sir and Ma'am Vivian, God bless po. From Edna Legaspina, totoo po yan, Sir Butch. From Doris Valles, sana bigyan din pansin ni PRD ang mga pagmamayari ng gobyerno makuha sa mga oligarko bago man lang matapos ang termino niya na ang malaking pamana niya sa taong bayan. From Erlinda Esmabe Garcia, good evening mga sirs, mabuhay kayo. And to your guest na si Miss Body Beautiful Vivian Velez. Isay Ariel, good evening mga sir and Miss Vivian. Ricardo Asianco, yan ang taong tutulong, si Vivian malasakit. From Prince Sanigoza, good evening KDP watching from LA. From Minda Alos Malabo, good evening po Sir Butch, Sir RJ, Sir Toti, and Miss Vivian. Mabuhay po kayo. Watching from Hong Kong, Special Authority from Hong Kong. From Masang Filipino, mabuhay po kayo mga sir. Sana matauhan na si PRD na take over niya lahat ng public utility. From Emily Benoza, nagsarili yung RevGov sa Pampanga, not coordinated. Sana po pamunuan at pwedeng sumali ang mga support NGOs and movement. From Crime Bastre, from Thailand. Actually, the root of terrorists is in the Congress and Senate. Kaya hirap si Pangulong buwagin. Dapat emergency power, Mr. President. Mabuwag lahat ang matagal ng problema ng bayan bago kamatayan ng taong bayan sa paghihirap ng mga oligarko. From Crime Bastre, good evening mga contemporaries, Idol Vivian watching from Thailand. From Bienvenido Lorque, bawasan ang mga sahod ng mga officials at mga commissioner sa SSS at lahat ng government agencies at ang sobrang sahod nila ipamahagi sa taong bayan para ma-recover agad ang taong bayan.
Okay. Meron pa ba?
Yan yung mga snippets pa lang yan, Vivian. Marami pa mga bati kami natatanggap sa buong daigdig, abot hanggang Amerika. Meron sa Canada, meron din sa Europa, meron din sa Middle East.
Well, before we go, your last words to your global audience.
Artikulo 12 po, yan po ang ating dapat isulong. At sana po ay makarating sa maraming tao. At ito po ay umpisa pa lang. Maraming salamat po. At marami po tayong naliwanagan. No? Ano po ang mga pangyayari sa ating gobyerno ngayon. Maraming salamat po.
Very good.
Amin po ang karangalan na kayo ay makasama dito sa Talakayan Bayan ng Katipunan Channel. At mabuhay po kayo, Vivian Velez. Ako po si RJ Javellana Jr. Maraming salamat po.
Butch Valdes po, magandang gabi sa inyo.
Toti Casiño, magandang gabi sa inyo. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!
Mabuhay!